Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Penalty Loop Podcast, a podcast about biathlon by Jordan Gottschalk from Penalty Loop and a regular guest, RJ Weiss from Biathlon Analytics.
It is now 24 hours until you're going to be on a plane. Is that correct, RJ?
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah,
it's pretty close. So we are recording, of course, after the races in Pokljuka, and we can't think of anything else except for going to Oslo this week. So I apologize in advance if my brain is a little bit scattered, more so than usual.
Yeah, I'm not at the point yet that all I'm thinking of is the trip, because I feel like I haven't had time yet, because even today I'm still working, and then I have biathlon tonight. So luckily I don't fly until late afternoon tomorrow, so I have some time in the morning to prepare a few things, but
it'll be good to exercise. You know, it's actually you're supposed to be really good for travel to do biathlon tonight, and then you're actually supposed to exercise after you land as well when you cross time zones. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe unless you can get a ski in.
Plenty of time, I think. No, it's going to be. It's always so funny with traveling, I find, because you're rushing, stressing out, and then you get there, and then you wait, and you wait, and you wait. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But for some reason, I thought the way back was only a one stop, but it's a two stop, so that will be fun too. But it's all worth it.
It certainly is. I'm very excited about that. How was your weekend?
It was good. Yeah, it was watched almost all the races live or like pretty close after. Been working on a project that I'm looking forward to revealing in Oslo when we're there, if we get a chance, because
I've seen it and it's very cool.
My only reference is what I see on TV or my experience in Camor, and I have a feeling the World Cup in Oslo is just a little bit bigger than the one in Canmore, to say the least. A few more people, maybe a bit more official, maybe a little bit harder to get access to certain athletes. Although even in Canmore, it was pretty hard to get access to the, Germans, French, Norwegian teams. I mean, if they want a race, then they would sort of shuffle me to the end of the national TV broadcasters.
Did you get the email that listed all of the order in which people have access to the athletes in Oslo? It's like there are 6 categories of people who would get access to them before us, and I imagine it's going to be a very long line. I'm not anticipating too many chatty athletes by the time they get down to us.
Well, until they realize that after 17 interviews with the same questions,
they get to be asked things.
They're going to be asked something completely different. I didn't read that email yet, but I'm anticipating that we'll probably mostly be talking to athletes in a more informal setting along the track or something like that.
Yeah, which will be great. I'm really looking forward to it.
If we don't talk to any that... Oh, yeah.
There's
lots of athletes, so...
I've got my wish list. Got my wish list of athletes to find.
Or coaches.
I know coaches as well, and I know that people who listen can guess who's on my list, but we'll see if we can track them down.
Yeah, the main teams, and especially the people around the contenders, potential Globe winners, etc. I mean, that's going to be, that I think we will be in line behind like 80 other people. But, I think people we've talked to in the past and stuff, I really have a good hope that we'll be able to, yell their name and have them come over for a minute or two.
Well, sadly, I think one of our regulars, Anna Gondler, will not be there. It sounds like she is sick again, and so she didn't race this past weekend, and then she announced on Instagram that she's not going to be racing in Oslo as well. So maybe she'll be there just as a fan to support Emilian, as he will be racing, but she won't be racing, so we'll have to find out if she's going to be there, and if so, then we can catch up with her. But yeah, that made me sad to see that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, and for the whole season, really, right? Because she came off such a high at the end of last season, and then
and she
but
talked
makes
about
you stronger in the end, I hope.
Yeah, in her post, she talked about how I think it was last May she started having trouble sleeping, and that really set her back, and she's been having difficulty throughout the year, and she's gotten sick now, basically every month since last summer, and just never has been able to consistently train. So hopefully got all this behind her. 2026, the 25-26 season is going to be a banner year.
Yeah, it's hard to realize sometimes how much good sleep impacts you on every other part of your life.
Yep.
Mentally, physically. And it's hard to catch up, right? Because
absolutely.
When I talk to friends sometimes, and I'm like, I had a really good sleep lesson. Oh, do you finally feel like you caught up? It's like, no, when you don't sleep for 3 years, it's going to take a little more than one good night's sleep, right?
Yeah, need
and especially with top athletes like that that need to physically recover a lot more than I need.
And you've also got something really rough coming up because you're going to have to listen to me snore for several nights, and you're just not going to sleep at all.
Hey, I might beat you out on that one. Don't get too excited quite yet.
What do you think of Pokljuka? One of our non-regular stops, but I guess sort of semi-regular. Did it serve as a good host this year?
Jumps out to me, as for so many other, is of course Jakov winning. I had a bit of a feeling that we have talked about a preseason of the likes of Seminator or Jakov, or maybe we mentioned it as what could be a highlight of the season. And I'm pretty sure I didn't mention, because I think we talked about that the individual could be sort of the ideal conditions for the likes of Fak and Eder, and especially short individual, because then their slower skiing doesn't hinder them as much. And but I mean, it seemed like he's been pretty fast recent World Cups, and I think he was 30 seconds behind Likert.
It was not bad at all.
So that because Likert was 30 some seconds behind Fak, but he had one miss. So wasn't that much.
In course time, Fak was fantastic, 18 seconds.
Yeah, and it's like I wasn't sure. Like, I've never really seen much of him, but he didn't come across as overly emotional. He described it, but it didn't. You can read it from his face. But then I saw a picture of him on the I think it's Biathlon Pokljuka website, where he's like basically his face covered in his hands, and showing that, of course, he too has his emotional moments, and seeing the picture of him with his children and stuff is, and he was saying incredible. In that interview, like, they always ask me, "Are you going to win, Papa?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going to try, but it's hard." So to actually pull it off, and in your own, your own stadium, pretty much, to give you goosebumps, and then. Apparently it rubbed off on the team because, Lampic shooting 19 out of 20 and getting her first. Was she second or third? Third, right?
She was third, her second podium.
Yeah.
That was the whole Slovenian weekend. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have scripted it any better than that. I mean, I guess I don't know what it was. They had the magic this week. And going back to Fak, I mean,
Lampic she just ran out of her.
Oh, at the end,
yeah, that was unfortunate. But I mean, if you would have asked him coming in, like, are you guys gonna pick up some medals?
Yeah. I honestly, like, I think you tell them they're gonna win one and get somebody else on the podium and a mass start, they would have taken that in a heartbeat, right? It's just a dream weekend. Yeah, and going back to Falk, I mean, it has been 10 years since he last won a race. It was such a huge gap. He'd been running well, and we talked about how he was having like a sort of a quietly good season, just consistently staying right around the edges of the top 10, getting in the top 10 a handful of times. And I still didn't think he was necessarily going to win a race, but he just had it. He had the magic. That was
Dude.
The funny story about this too is that I didn't watch the race live, so I had to catch up with it a little bit later, and so you had told me what happened, and yeah.
Oh, I hadn't told you that he won though.
No. You told me that
okay.
I should be in a quiet place. I should be in a quiet place basically when I watched it.
Yes,
because I was gonna, it was a good thing I was. It's in my office at work. I pounded the desk so hard. one of the pictures of my kids fell over. But that was pretty crazy. I still can't believe
that's
it
the
happened.
only kind of yeah. No, I was going to say the only downside of races like the sprint or the individual is that you're super excited when he comes across the finish line, but I think he had bib 5.
Yeah, you have no
right?
idea.
So it's
and
then you're not going to like scream and cheer when somebody else doesn't make his time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a different emotional where if, obviously when it's a sprint to the finish, you're more hyped, but shooting clean under those conditions, my God, that was
for me. Yeah, it was
one of those races where you watch and you just sit like cramped up and like feeling miserable for them.
When he hit his last 5 shots, that's when I was like, because I thought at that point I was like, oh, he has got a chance for a podium. I still didn't think he was going to win, because I still thought, oh, somebody's going to come back and pass him. But I was like, yes, he did it. I was so pumped.
Yeah,
you're totally right though, because that race, it was pouring rain, right? I mean, it was absolutely like those guys were drenched. And
I didn't really realize it until there was a shot of Sebastian Samuelsson standing shooting, and you could just see like the vertical streaks of the rain in the picture, and because you could see from the athletes and everything kind of being soaked in the crowd and stuff that it wasn't very nice out there, but not until then I realized how bad it was.
It was really bad. I just thought about how gross it had to be laying in doing your prone shooting. Like, you're probably just laying in a puddle. Like, you're just laying down in a puddle of water. Like, that has to be so awful.
Oh,
I don't know. I've never done
awful.
it. But yeah.
It is awful.
As you're skiing really onto the range, going, I'm about to lay down in a puddle of icy cold water, and just know, like, I would have been like, I don't know if I want to do this today. I'm just going to ski right off the range.
Well, I mean, given the weather conditions, they probably were soaked by that time anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So maybe it's not as bad, but it's definitely the first time you lay down on a wet mat. It's like, it's not
it's gonna be miserable.
Not a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, and then you think about somebody like JT Boe who was doing it sick, right? And like he had like that. Honestly, cannot think of many worse feelings than you're already sick, so you're already not feeling well. Then you go outside, it's just a little above freezing, and it's just a torrential downpour. He must have just been like, "What am I doing? Like this is a terrible idea."
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll make him feel a little less bad about retiring.
Yeah. Well, I never have to do that again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was.
But yeah, it's so I guess he was sick but didn't have a fever yet, and then the next day he had a fever. Is that?
Well, no surprise.
Wow.
Yeah. That is actually one of those things I was thinking about this weekend. It's just been such a strange season for him. I mean, it's obviously not the final season that he would have dreamed of, but I think he came into the season a little bit on the back foot. But he clearly, by the end of the first trimester, was building form, and he looked like at the end of the first trimester, okay, like he's wearing yellow. He's probably gonna, he's gonna storm through the rest of the season.
He's doing his trick.
Yeah, exactly.
Now his season starts too.
Gets sick over the holiday break, and then ultimately, decides in Ruhpolding to retire. The day after he has the worst finish of his career, just sort of an odd all-around race, which makes a little more sense knowing, that he retired the next day. He starts to look a little bit better, has a pretty good Worlds, actually, winning the sprint and the pursuit, and I think he had, 5 medals altogether without looking it up. and then comes out and has this short. I guess he was fine in Novo Mesto, and then he has this short individual race in Pokljuka where he has some of the longest shooting times I've ever seen. Which clearly he said later that this was part of, like, he knew he didn't have the strength on the skis, so he knew he was going to have to hit all of his shots. But still, seeing him stand there for like 43-second shoots was just a crazy thing to see.
Mm-hmm. Although I didn't look that up, but I got the feeling that there was a lot of athletes who were taking more time.
They were, but it was still I looked it up. This was the slowest, of his career.
Yeah, no, for sure.
His average shooting speed, I think his shooting time was 38 seconds per shoot, like 38.6, which is just a really silly thing to think about.
I don't think this was just, I'm taking a bit more time. This was beyond.
Yeah. Oh, it was very, very deliberate and it was just a strange experience watching him just stand there like a statue. But, it's just strange. And then he obviously didn't race the mass start, and you just feel bad for him. Technically, he can still win the Globe, by the way. I did the math.
I was going to say that. So with a, let's just say, slow start, and being sick, he's still in second place within range to win. And on that note, this second season in a row where we're literally waiting for the last stage, if not both. Last race, to decide the winners on both the men's and women. So just tells you how close these guys are, guys and gals, I guess. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right?
So, Johannes would have to win every single race, and Lagerud would have to be fourth or worse. But it's actually not impossible. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but what if
JT Boe will have to have a bad sprint?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But if
he starts,
if JT Boe wins it and Lagerud's in sixth, right? That would be quite a start. I apologize. My dog just dropped something, so if you guys heard something, that was him dropping a cookie in a bowl. So, yep.
Okay. Nothing too concerning, at least.
No, but it was this big crash. I couldn't figure out what was going on.
So, I'm just really curious with the shooting times.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking up his exact. Do you know his exact time for? Because I was curious about his first shot.
Oh, I've got it. Yeah, I've got it right here.
Like JT Boe's first shot.
Do you want the times?
Like, I'm just. What I'm looking for is, the 12.5 from Uldal.
Oh yeah. So
in the relay for standing, and then I look at in the short individual, Lagerud first shot on shooting 2 and standing 14.8, shooting 4 12.3. So that's, and then by that time Uldal and JT Boe 16.8. Oh my God!
You're gonna love the last one.
His first shot 27.4. So Uldal could have done 2 standing shootings in the time that JT Boe got ready for his first shot.
Yeah. Yep.
No, admittedly, different conditions, so that you can. It's never a one-on-one comparison, of course, but because did Uldal race the short individual? Or was he one of the many Norwegians that could have won that weren't able to start? No, he did not.
It was him and Surum who sat out.
Yeah. It's just the weirdest thing. Still, I know we bring it up every time. It probably gets boring for people, but 2 people that it would not shock anybody if they would win the race. And they have to sit out.
It's an embarrassment of riches that they have. And I think they made the decision because they brought up Dallas Kevdal and they brought up Isaac Frey, and the goal was to put as many people as possible in the mass start, which they did, right? Both those guys qualified for the mass start.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty crazy. Surum was not happy about being sat out. I don't know if you saw this. Yeah, Sturm was just not happy about being left out. He was second in the individual discipline going into the race, and would have liked to obviously have a chance to compete for it, but I don't know. Yeah. That's just the hard decision you have to make. You can make good arguments for everybody being able to start, and ultimately somebody's got to sit, and that's a tough call.
Yeah, and I read that Christensen wasn't overly pleased either.
Oh, he was so unhappy. He went home.
From what do you mean he went home? Was he supposed to come to Pokljuka?
No, he was supposed to go to Otapa for the last weekend of the IBU Cup, and he said, no, I would rather go home. So he went home.
Does it mean that he's also not invited for Oslo then?
Not going to Oslo. That is true. Yep. So it's going to be the same.
But that was decided before that. That's why he went home?
No, I don't know. I don't know if he still had a chance at Oslo or not, but he just went home, and I think because of that, there was no way he was going to Oslo at that point. It's like, all right, you'd rather go home then.
But my guess is that he would still qualify for the mass start.
He would still qualify, but he's not listed on that he'll be there. So they didn't list him as a possible starter.
No, but I mean, like if you're, like you get an extra spot if you're in the top 30. Is that right?
Yes.
Like everybody who's in the top 30 is allowed to, okay. Or maybe
in
not
the
top 30.
The top
but
25 but.
Yeah.
Anyway, he will not be there. Long story short, he is going to be watching on his couch.
And actually, I looked up some articles from the past on the Dutch skating team who, were in a completely similar situation. And varying opinions of some people saying that, some Dutch coaches should coach elsewhere because then they can help other nations improve and create more competition. And where other coaches were like, well, sucks to be you if you're not on the best team, or
So what you're saying is Ziggy needs to come to Canada? Is that what I heard? Ziggy needs to come to Canada?
Well, no, I think. I think Norway does a pretty good job having coaches elsewhere.
No, clearly, yeah.
And I think in speed skating, it's maybe a bit different. But I remember there was a skater, Bart Veldkamp, who I don't know if he wouldn't have made a team anymore, or that he felt he wasn't strong enough to make the qualifications. But he won the Albertville Olympics. I think it was a 10-kilometer race. I don't recall. I think that was still for Holland, and then he wasn't able to qualify anymore. Or anyway, he decided to switch nations, so he raced for Belgium. I don't recall if he actually won an Olympic with Belgium, but he still did really well. And I remember seeing an interview with him where it's like, I'm way more relaxed, Now my biggest event of the year are the World Championships or the Olympics, not the qualification for the Dutch team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, there's...
Can't blame him too much.
You always know as a team that you're going to disappoint probably more people than the ones you make happy.
Oh, yeah. And I just think you're thinking about this team and what's going to happen next year. And this is way down the road, but think, the qualification races next year for the team are going to be just absolutely bananas. I think you'll have Sturla will have his position. Too,
Yeah, but what are the implications of this thing that Dahl has done now?
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
do you want, despite the fact that he... No, I know, but despite the fact that he could win a globe, he's good enough, are you well, I don't want a person with that character on our team, because I have
you mean
17 other ones that can win the globe, so...
Yeah.
Christensen, fact that he... don't get me wrong, I totally get it that you're frustrated, but you don't want people on your team that bring that negativity, despite the fact that you can totally relate to it, but it's... as it's easily affecting other people, right? And creates more stress and pressure. But hopefully it doesn't have that impact. But
yeah,
guess we'll have to wait and see if he's there.
Hopefully he comes to cheer on his teammates as they retire. Just even if he just comes as a fan, it'd be good for him to be there.
Yeah, I have no doubt
Bridges,
he will.
Yeah, but anyway. So then of course we have Sturla, who now is leading the overall, and we just talked about Johannes' chances, but of course Sturla definitely being the favorite to bring it home. I know that he would have liked to have done it with JT Boe being healthy, but yeah, still it'll be cool for him to win it while JT Boe is still competing, just as a.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I mean, the year that he didn't win, I'm sure there's some moments where we can find that maybe Sturla Holm wasn't top fit or not feeling great. Like there's always going to be that, especially in a demanding season like this. So, and Preuss comes to mind, of course, where one big aspect of winning the Globe is to be healthy for the majority of races.
Yep.
And I think I said that last week, that I've never been a big fan of the ability to drop 2 races, but that definitely favored those a bit more, I guess, the ones that were struggling with fitness. But yeah, talk about a tight race. 20 points.
20 points is crazy. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So I guess even Julien Simon with 804 is officially out of contention.
Is she officially out?
Because it's...
I'm officially
lying.
Or not,
270, right?
Officially or out, she's out. Yeah. Basically, Jeanmonnot and Preuss would both have to basically sit on their hands all weekend. And I don't see that happening.
And Simon would have to win almost everything.
Win. Yes, she'd have to win everything. Which, the form she's on is not impossible. She's won, 3 of her last 6 races. So she's been excellent.
Yeah.
Had a 3rd place in one of the other ones. But, yeah, I know it's going to be Preuss and Jeanmonnot, it looks like, and they seem content to go back and forth with whoever has the best race. Because I think, Preuss was in 3rd and Jeanmonnot in 7th in the individual. And then, of course, Jeanmonnot with the big win in the mass start and Preuss in 5th. And Jeanmonnot talked after the individual about how she was, I think her words that she said where she was terrified going to the last shooting in the individual, and she ended up having a miss, which bumped her down to 7th. Without the miss, she finishes probably around 3rd or probably 4th or 5th, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
But she was not terrified in the mass start. It was actually, I wanted to touch on this too. I thought her strategy in the mass start, maybe she was feeling great, and I didn't see any of the post-race interview with her, but maybe she was just feeling really good. But she really started to push it on the second lap and kept building these leads. It seemed like every lap she would build out a lead. And kept giving herself the cushion that if she did have a miss, she was still going to be okay. And she didn't really seem to pay too much of a price for that later in the race. I mean, she still seemed pretty strong. And clearly, having the same number of misses as Lampic and beating her by 22 seconds, that's pretty good. Even if Lampic was taking a little bit more time. Same number of misses as Richard and beating her by 41 seconds. Pretty good, I would say. Todorova clean. Yeah. So, Jeanmonnot looked great, and she has these days in the mass start where I watch her and I'm like, there's just Preuss has no chance. 20 points, she'll never be able to hold it up. But I'm really excited for how it's going to end up, and I'm really hoping it comes down to that last race. And if it comes down to the last race, I think it's anybody's ballgame.
Yeah, it's I'm still leaning towards Preuss being calmer when the pressure is highest, but I'm also starting to think, on the other hand, Preuss will have the pressure of never being in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
Plus, knowing that it might be her last shot at.
Yeah. To know that. I mean,
let's face it, like those are minor details when you consider the pressure that they're under in a full stadium and shooting for the globe, whether you have experience or not, or like maybe for someone like, Thingnes Boe who's been in that position about 20 times in his career, maybe you get a little more comfortable with it, but
I think it's a big benefit.
It will be,
I was just going to say, I think Jeanmonnot has the benefit of knowing
wish
that
for better.
If she has a miss, like in the pursuit or the mass start, her legs are a little bit stronger right now, so she has the ability to make it up. But I think both of them have to know. I mean, you got to go into the race knowing that you have to be like 19 out of 20 or better. I mean, one miss, because the way they're both performing, I mean, there's really no margin for error. You have 2 or 3 misses and you're probably sunk. I mean, unless the other one does the same.
Yeah. Well, and especially with the current scoring system where the drop-off in points is so fast, right?
Yeah. Man, I'm just hoping that they both have great races. I don't want it to be... I mean, Vitozzi definitely won. I mean, she definitely won the Globe last year, but, in the sprint, I think it was Tangervold finished like 17th or something like that, and it was basically over at that point. And I just want them both to be running at top strength.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, Tangervold was already in such a bad flow at that point, right?
Yes, yeah. The momentum was all
I don't
backwards.
know. And I don't know if that was majority just stress or mental, but it's always hard because you don't want to take anything away from Vitozzi, but kind of felt like it deserved a better finish from the perspective of if Tangervold would still be at her best.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's part of the game, right?
It is part of the game, and Vitozzi withstood the pressure. I mean, she was a true champion last year because she was so consistent, and she was the pressure just didn't seem to get to her until the very, 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 very end. And at that point, she had it won. And I guess we'll see. Jeanmonnot's talked about the pressure. I could argue that this could go any way, and I really think that it comes down to the sprint. That's how I feel about it. And if I think Jeanmonnot has the advantage in the sprint, and if Preuss can keep it close, right? If Preuss goes 10 for 10, I think it really is anybody's ball game. But I think if Jeanmonnot goes, if she is a podium in the sprint and Preuss has 1 or 2 misses, then it's going to be a real tough climb back out of that. Oh, I'm really excited. This is going to be crazy. I just think it could be really a lot of fun. And it's also fun too, I think, because we're also seeing some other, like Hanna Oeberg she's having some good races recently. So, she could pop up there and win and just sort of make everything more difficult. Or, I think Heidenberg has had a couple of good races. Or Grotian could get up there. Obviously, Simone has been running well. Michelin, right? Just all these different women who are racing well enough that
Edeline, Anna Magnussen.
Yes, yeah, right. They can slide just in between Jeanmonnot and Preuss and are going to make it that much more difficult. It's not like it's just the two of them up there.
Todorova.
Oh, yes. Another podium.
I think is
another podium. I'm really happy for her.
Yeah.
One of Baiba's good friends, by the way, and another mom. So I think that these moms keep showing out. That is now 2 podiums for her this year. 3 top 5s, all 5 of the top 5s in her career, 4 top 10s, 5 top 10s, 6 top 10s this year. Good gracious. So, just, and she's only 27, which she always feels like she's been around longer than that.
Yeah.
I wrote this down. Her career best overall finish, right? So is 46th. In her last 4 full seasons, she's finished 47th, 46th, 48th, 52 in the overall. In this season right now, she's in 14th. It's very much like a Suvi Minkinen improvement.
That's exactly the same person I thought of.
Yeah, it's like huge.
Who seemed to be kind of fading out towards the end of the season, but That was just
still on track for a top 10
apparently.
overall.
Yeah.
I really hope she's there next week, and I want to give her a big high five because I'm just really proud of her. What a season!
Yeah, and it's I mean, Michelin still there, Richard still there, but it's nice to see other nations with young athletes also. Heidenberg now.
Yeah, how about that? That's a nice couple of races.
Yeah.
Because she was...
And I'm just looking at the short individual results. Horotna from Ukraine, 20 years old, 13th place. The Swiss are have been pretty strong since the World Championships.
Absolutely. Pretty strong, I think, being a little bit of an understatement.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I wasn't sure if I wanted to throw it in there right now, but we can jump to that right now.
If you want to.
I do feel for Amy Bezerga.
Yeah, I know.
Always considered the perfect partner for the single mixed relay, and then the first. Well, I don't know if it's the first time, but it's been a while. I think that they did not race in that setup. Hartwig and Bezerga, and with Aida Gasparin, it clicks and they win. So
they win. First single mixed relay win for Switzerland.
Yeah.
Cool podium, by the way, with Switzerland, Sweden, and Finland.
Absolutely. Well, and how about US on 5th?
Yeah. It was a good weekend for the relays because we had there was that podium, and then in the mixed relay, of course, I mean, the top three were kind of who you would expect, but seeing Austria pop up in 4th was kind of cool. With David Komatz, I mean, the whole squad was really good, but David Komatz with that huge last lap to pass Jakov and get them in 4th, and then I think the Swiss team had one miss the entire relay, which is pretty crazy. It's kind of nice,
and then
just fun.
Of all people, it was Sebastian Stalder.
I know. Come on, man.
If anything is known for his awesome shoot. I mean, just funny.
Yeah, I know. Also,
fun. As much as I'm still...
I was just going to say also fun that in the mixed relay, it came down to Sweden and France for the mixed relay globe. And then...
I know, yeah.
Yeah, and then they go, Sweden wins and France comes in second to decide it. So it's not like, one had a really bad race. I mean, they both finished right near the... they went 1-2.
Well,
what else can you ask for?
To be honest, like Samuelson was half a second behind QFM when they they started.
It was.
And I must say, if you ask me at that point, like who do you put your money on, it would definitely be QFM in a situation like that.
Yep.
Even though Samuelson has been really strong, but just QFM seems to be thriving in situations where it's face to face.
Yep.
And I mean, he proved with his standing shooting that he has that, but yeah, his prone has not been lately. It's just been really tough for him to
very tough
hit the targets in prone.
Him and Ponsiluoma, man. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, because but Ponsiluoma had a podium in the short individual, right?
Yeah,
so
I know, I know. Did not see that coming. Anyway, I apologize. I interrupted you.
No, I'm just, but that makes me think of Hanna Oeberg and Martin Ponsiluoma, obviously being together, but they had such, if you would have asked a couple of weeks ago, they probably wouldn't say they were looking back at the season so far in a very happy mood. Yeah. Also filled with, sickness and things just not working really well, but they're finishing strong. And Ponsiluoma still has his frustrating shooting issues.
Can we go back to so Hanna actually handed off to Ponsiluoma in the mixed relay, which is kind of cool. And I know they've done that before, and I just never picked up on it. It's just a neat little thing. It's gotta be kind of cool just to like, hey, you got it, honey. Go do it. Which I'm sure that's not what she said, but
yeah. Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember if they ever did a single mix relay together?
I don't remember, and now I really want to see it.
Maybe did they race together in Schalke? Auf Schalke?
Did they? I honestly...
Or no, it was... There was that race they did after the World Championships in
Sweden.
Stockholm?
Yes, yeah.
Was it Stockholm in the stadium there? I know they were both there. I just don't recall if they were on the same team or not. But
I'm sure they were. They had to. Anyway.
I'm just always curious how that goes.
Well, it's working well for them right now. I think that's...
No, I know, but like practically... and I wondered about that with Emma and Christian as well.
Yeah.
Because, are you with the women's team so you share a room with, a member of the women's team? Or do you just share it with your partner? And
anybody who's interested, go listen to the interview we did with Emma Lunder. This was from the summer of 2023. It was very good. And there was we could see her, but Annie Biscon walked through the background while we were doing the interview. So little cameo appearance.
No, I'm just curious because it's different with your partner. But I guess if in the case of Hanna, I don't know about this, but I'm guessing she would be sharing a room with Elvira. It's just different when it's your partner or your sister or just somebody that you maybe know really well, but is your friend or your colleague in a way.
Who would you room with? Would you room with me or would you room with Dolores?
Ooh.
No offense, I would room with Katie. I mean, that's just my personality. I think that she keeps me more calm. So,
no, you don't know that.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe I'll have a different answer after this week.
Yeah. No, I wasn't so much thinking of the answer to your question. It was more thinking of, do you mean that if we were athletes on a World Cup or just on a holiday?
Just two guys. I know what you mean.
Yeah. No, I would prefer Dolores in my bed over you. Sorry.
Well, that's fair. Good answer.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who are having a little bit of a resurgence, you mentioned her earlier, but Ida Leen isn't. She finished 11th in the short individual, and I apologize, I forgot what she finished in the mass start, but she hasn't been like world beating, but it's been nice to see her. She was 11th in the mass start as well, actually. Nice to see her having a little recovery at the end of the season, and it feels like she's finding her footing. She's still relatively young. I mean, she's still, 27, 28, 27. She's so fast, and I just remain hopeful that we're going to see one of these years she comes in and is just a little bit more accurate, and we can just see her regularly in the top 10. And I remain ever hopeful for her.
Yeah, and when we were talking about her last week, should you take her or Arne Kleiv? I was leaning towards Arne Kleiv, but I mean, you were spot on with Leen has the ability to make up for her misses.
Yeah.
And I think was it in the relay that she was really in the mix?
She was very in the mix.
I think she was shooting side by side with Hanna.
Yeah.
She lost a bit of time in the range because I think Hanna missed. No, they had the same misses. Two spares each.
Well, I think
anyway, they were side by side.
Leen just took a little more time with her shooting, but...
Right. I think she came in a bit earlier and then they left almost together.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Pretty cool, though. I mean, she didn't... That's a very good measuring stick. I mean, Hanna's very good to begin with, and she's racing very well right now. So to to say, hey, I can do this. We saw her last year. She was selected for the World Championships primarily because she's had success in relays before. Like I said, she's not a world beater right now, but this is definitely an improvement from where she was. And I am hopeful that in the next year or two we're going to see an Idalin who
like
is
you
regularly
said,
in the top 10.
27, but it feels like she's been on the World Cup for decades almost.
Yeah, she was so young.
79 individual races, 1 podium, 16 team events, 6 wins, 9 podiums.
I forgot. I think it was KML Style on Twitter who pointed out that this was the first time Idalin has been on the podium without Tangervold there, because every other time she's been on the podium has been in a relay with Tangervold, or the one time she had her individual podium, Tangervold was on the podium as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was last year in Oslo.
Oh, yes, it was. Oh, well, maybe she's going to get another podium.
Yeah. Yeah, and she had only 1 miss in standing in the individual.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, 2 misses. Clean and prone, 2 misses in standing, and then she had the 11th ski rank. So, obviously she likes Oslo. And she had, like you said, Tandervold won that race and Elvira was second. Would be cool. Idalin could get on the podium.
Marin Shirkaidi, we got Tangervold. We just need to get them all hitting at the same time. There's a good team there. Obviously, we've seen them perform well even recently. But you
have Arne Clive.
Mm-hmm. Johansson was having some good races. Yeah. Knoten, when she, if she can get back to her ski form from the last couple of seasons, would be excellent. They're there. We just need to get them all rolling at the same time.
I feel that team is getting to a point where Knoten needs to worry about her spot on the team almost.
Yeah. So
there's enough younger ones that are coming up and doing well.
Yeah. Gonna need to have a very big summer.
Well, it'll take a bit to get her actually off the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, I think those preseason races.
It's good for.
Fem Steinevek has had a good couple races.
They have the competition, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway. There's another competition, which we've been talking about a little bit, but it is the Nations Cup and for the top 10. So you get 5 starters as opposed to 4. And as we head to the last week of the season, it is an incredibly tight race on the women's side. I'm pulling up the exact numbers right now, but I believe that Finland is leading Poland for that 10th spot by 20 points. So it is, and it's really interesting because Finland obviously had a very big race with third place in the single mixed relay, and then Poland had and then Poland had I can't remember their exact finish in the mixed relay,
12th.
But they had that, and Finland was actually unfortunately lapped in the mixed relay, so Poland was able to make up a fair bit of ground. So it's going to be incredibly close, and we obviously like both of those teams very much. We have spoken with Tobias a number of times now, and so of course we'll be pulling for great races from all of them. And I'm very curious if he and Eric have the Kulstad, the head coach of the Finnish team, have a side bet as to who gets the top 10. And if there is a side bet, I want to know about it. And if there's not one, I want to know why not.
And then Czech Republic is also close, right?
They are also close. I think that they are probably going to hold on to the 9th position, but I'm pulling it up real quick. It could be close.
Yeah, because I definitely feel that the Polish team, obviously seems stronger on the women's side. And Finland is, like we really talked about Liinamo or Lainamo Sonja, who did really well last weekend. But then in the mixed relay, she had 2 penalty loops for standing, and then got lapped. And it was a bit of when she got lapped, she really seemed completely done for.
Yeah.
That was the shot just before split time. And I mean, my guess is that if you know you're on the you're getting really close to being lapped, that you're just pushing like it's the final finish sprint.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, if you're then lapped, I can see that you're completely out. But
and I think that a couple of them were sick.
I mean, I
recently
totally
as
get
well.
it. I think it's a good rule that they take the lap ones out, but
it's hard.
It's always
tough.
Breaks your heart a little bit.
So the Czech Republic is running 100, almost 200 points ahead of Finland, so they should be safe, assuming they don't have a total collapse.
Yeah.
Finland is 25 points ahead of Poland. I mean, both teams would benefit, right? Because on the Finnish team, you've got obviously Suvi, and you said Liinamo, and there's Venla Lettinen, who had a great start to the season but got sick. Inka Heimalainen is coming along really well. She's quite young, so they've got a number of other ones. And then the Polish team, of course, has Sidorowicz and Jakiela, Maka, Kamila Zuk. There are some Jambika we've seen race a couple of times. I apologize if I mispronounced that name.
I think for the competition itself, it would be a bigger loss if Poland wouldn't make it.
I agree.
Because I think especially on the women's side, they can, they have the depth to fill the spots with maybe not win contenders, but
certainly women who can make the pursuit.
Be the flowers ceremony.
Oh,
right?
sure. Yeah.
Or make the pursuit and well, maybe not all 5, but I think they're more competitive where Finland is more focused on both the men's and the women's, 2 top athletes and then there's a bit of a drop. And of course, it would be really good for a nation like Finland to have more spots to put younger athletes in as well.
Yeah.
But I also, it almost makes me think, would they even have the athletes to fill all the spots?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Finnish men, I can think of more people off the top of my head to fill those spots, but the Finnish women, not as much. I think I agree with you.
I don't mean that from...
Yeah.
I mean it from a budget perspective, too, because, we hear sometimes about, Norway flying in a guy from the IBU Cup for one race and then flying him back, but the reality is that most other nations are just financially unable to do that.
Yes,
or willing to do that,
yep.
Whichever one it is. But so,
totally agree. But it'll be a fun thing to watch, and I will. I'm really hoping to talk to Tobias. It'd be fun to catch up with him on Thursday just to see how he's feeling about it going into the race on Friday, and then
for sure,
catch up with him afterwards every day because we need to get his immediate reaction. He owes it to us. No, I'm obviously kidding.
Well, but I've trashed NFL football twice now, so
yeah. Well,
you might have to do that one by yourself.
you might not. Yeah, it'll just be me. Although he has to be pretty excited about his Denver Broncos. I think they are definitely on the upswing. But we can save that for another time.
Yeah, but they cheat with playing at elevation.
Strategy.
Now I'm complete. Now I've done it.
Back on the topic of biathlon, how about this? So Eric Perot won the mass start, and that was his 3rd victory of the year. Do you know who else has... One question is, how many people have 3 or more victories on the Men's World Cup this year, and who are those people?
3 or more. Well, JT. Perot.
And that's it. I will stop you there.
I was going to say I don't think Sturla had 3 wins.
Nope. Perot has the second most wins on the World Cup this year, which is pretty cool. He is still...
And he's in third, right, in overall?
And he's third in the overall. He is 23 years old. And so often I sort of separate him from the group, including like Jakov and Campbell Wright and Hartweg, but he is right in their same age group, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, and again, with him too, because he was in the direct... He was like basically face-to-face with QFM, right?
In the mass start? Yep.
Yeah. And again, that's also what I said earlier with QFM in the final loop of a race. It's hard to beat, but did they go out together and then he just outskied him? Because he skied behind QFM for a while and then he passed him.
Yeah, they left. They were he left like 2 seconds behind QFM, maybe 3 seconds, but they were very very close. Yeah, and he just outskied him on the last lap. Oh man, he is so good.
QFM is such a strong ski. Like
I know.
Especially there was when he was side by side with Frey in the relay. The mixed relay. And there was this one climb where basically at the bottom of the climb, Frey goes into the saddle dance kind of.
Yeah.
And the offset. And then QFM just keeps just going.
Plowed right by him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now QFM.
And it's also a great demonstration of how much faster or more efficient the one skate is over the offset.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because it looks easier, the offset, right? Because it looks lighter. But it's just, you see him kind of go... Because it was kind of that shot where you kind of look down the hill, you can't really see how far they're behind. Mm-hmm. And then at the bottom, they're together. And then you see QFM only at the very last moment go into the offset, and then they turn the corner. And then you realize how big the gap is between the two.
Oh, yeah. It was like QFM. I mean, this is kind of funny, but it's almost like a dad racing their kid when the dad actually decides to start trying. You know what I mean? And that's what what it looked like. Is that it was like, oh, I'm just going to leave you behind now. It's just really impressive. And Isaac Frey is good. Like Isaac Frey is a really top talent. He's just really young, and QFM is really good. So,
but Frey. He's not one of those top skiers, right? He's just good overall. But
he's a very good skier and a very good shooter, but he's not like Boten at his peak. No,
right?
Yeah. But QFM, we mentioned Perot, and we mentioned Perot and Samuelson both beating him. But in QFM's defense, right? He's had a really nice close to the season. He's had since the start of the World Championships, he got bronze in the sprint, 6th in the pursuit, bronze in the individual, 19th in the mass start, and then 7th, 4th, 6th, and 2nd in the mass start, plus some good relay runs. I just think that if he can get the prone shooting straightened out, that he will be in the mix for the overall next year. I think him, Lagred, Perot, Jakov, certainly. I think Jakov has, if not the most, he's like top 2 in most points scored since the start of the second trimester. That's going to be a...
the funny thing with Giacomo is he reminds me of Max Verstappen, the Formula One racer who... Which competition start... No, but I mean, there was always no doubt that Verstappen was going to be a really good racer.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, he was just a little... too aggressive, and everybody's like, just learn to calm down. You win a race by lasting out the whole race. You don't have to win it in the first turn. And with Giacomo, it always feels a bit like that, where he's, I guess, like he's already trying to win in the first loop, where it's like, no, just take a bit calmer, get through it, and then at the finish it off. But I mean, he's so young still, right?
He is 24 years old, and Perot is 23, and Campbell Wright is 22, and Hartweg is 25, and that is quite a group we got there. Mm-hmm. And then that's not even counting the Norwegians,
and I would
of course.
definitely say, yeah. No, and that's what I really like about Perot is he's just so calm already for his age.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. He's an unbelievable talent. I can't believe he's only 23. He's in third in the overall. It just seems like he's got a chance to win multiple Globes. I mean, definitely he has a chance to win one, but he is just, I could see him winning 2 or 3.
So could you see either Jacquelin or QFM finish ahead of him in the Globe standings in the upcoming seasons?
I could see QFM doing it. And Jacquelin's only 42 points behind, so I guess I could see it.
Oh no, yeah.
I would bet on Perot. If you were to make me put money on it, I would bet on Perot. I think he is definitely on the upswing in terms of his abilities, and I think that he'll only be better next year and better the year after that.
That's my main thinking is that Perot is still getting better. Where I think with Jacquelin and QFM, their top is really high, but I think they're at their top.
Yeah,
and we talked about QFM. If he has a really good start of the season, I think that he's the type of person that will elevate his performance for the remaining season. So as long as he keeps that up, just like the season when he won, right? Mm-hmm. His confidence got up so high that he just had an incredible season. I think overall I would definitely agree with Perot just being the one who has the most potential towards the future.
What about on the women's side? When you've got Richard, you've got Michelon, you've got Grotjean. That's the U23 race right there. Richard is currently leading with 676 points. Michelon is a full 10 points behind her. That's so close. And then Grotjean is at 620, so she's only 56 points back. And that is a wildly close race. And that is a group of women who are very young, right? I can't even...
22, 23, 20.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think a little bit about the second season slump.
That's a good point.
I think they all raced at least one race last year or last season. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I'm still leaning towards saying that Grotjean, for me, has the biggest potential to win a Globe, the first of those 3.
Mm-hmm.
For 20 years old and how well, it's really hard to say anything bad about Richard and Michelon.
They're great. They're all amazing.
But Grotjean just seems a bit more maybe ahead mentally already. I don't know.
They all
could
incredible.
Totally, like a couple of years from now, they could totally be in a race right to the last weekend for the Globe, right?
Those 3 plus old lady Jeanmonnot, who's going to be he's going to be the old veteran of the
crew.
Only
26.
Yeah.
Well, and even like we're talking 2-3 years out, Simon will be 30 or 31. Like it's not.
And Elvira's only 26 too. Ugh.
Yeah, well,
if she can stay healthy.
I don't know. I really like. It seems like every year, like this seems a very typical season for Sweden.
Yeah, I know.
They have different athletes peaking at different times. there's a lot of athletes that you kind of give up hope on, and then all of a sudden they're there and doing really well, and then when you get used to that, they disappear. And I mean, I know health is a factor, of course, but it just seems like it's really hard in that team to string out a season of races together, where even if things are not going well, you either come back the next weekend like Preuss did this year, or where if it's not going great, that you're still top 10, top 20 to stay in the points. And
I don't disagree.
Obviously, I don't know what it is, but and I'll be the last to say that it has anything to do with anything in specific or in particular, but it feels like the last 3-4 seasons have been kind of like this. There's always this big hype ahead of the season where it's like, oh, is this going to be the year for Samuelsson to finally contend for the Globe the whole season, or is this going to be a year that Elvira is going to, go for it all? And it's just every year it's like, oh, well, maybe not this year, hopefully next year. And they had some great young talent pop up and, win races, and
Sarah Anderson. Yeah.
Not by any means a bad season, because I mean how many they have? 4 athletes on the women's side in the top 16 and 2 men in the top 15. Jesper Nellen has had a really strong last part of the season. They win the mixed relay Globe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad by any means, but you're always waiting for an individual athlete to contend for the Globe, and I don't know what the last time was that we can really say that they were in contention for the whole season. So I don't know.
No. I was going to say, I think Elvira was like 3rd a couple of years ago, and that was about it. But I totally agree. It's like I don't need to re-say everything you just said, but
and they do really well at events, right? Like World Championships,
Worlds and Olympics. Yeah. And I don't know, is that I briefly mentioned this earlier. Is that a coach thing? That's just their coaching philosophy, and that's what they've decided to prioritize? Is that even higher than them? Is that just like what the federation has decided? We are going to prioritize championships. I don't know. And if that's what they want, great. They're doing an awesome job at it. They're doing great. If they're happy, I'm happy for them. I want one year.
I think that would be
where I can see
for someone like Elvira. That would be.
Yes, I want to see them. I want to see Samuelsson all the way through. I want to see Elvira all the way through, just continuing the momentum. But we'll see. But they're still relatively young. They're not at the end of their careers by any means. But every year forward is one you don't get back. Anyway, I would like. I want to be optimistic about them.
I don't follow it. Yeah, no, and I don't. I'm not even near following them close enough to kind of know what's going on in the team and in the press and stuff. But I do recall reading about people questioning Lucas, the coach, earlier in the season. I haven't read anything about that, but that's on me. Not that it's not in the news. I don't know. I just don't know. But it must be really frustrating to have so much potential. And, it's awesome to win world medals, and I'm sure they'll be winning medals at the Olympics. But you'd really like to see someone like Elvira right at the top of the list, right?
There are other things to win, too. Yep. Speaking of other things to win, before we wrapped up, I wanted to have you make some quick predictions of who is going to win the Discipline Globes. You want to do it?
Okay.
So, right now, in the sprint, for the women, Preuss is leading Rosa Boucher by 7 points. It's 324 to 317. Jeanmonnot is back at 271, so she's 50-ish points behind. And then Grotian is at 237. So, technically, she is eliminated. Well, I think not actually, but it would take something ridiculous. So basically, Preuss, JBB is 7 points behind, and then Jeanmonnot 50 points back.
I was going to say Grosjean.
Yeah.
Because I can totally see her win because she's not involved in the globe race.
Yeah.
In that sense, more relaxed. But given that the others would have to finish really poorly, I don't see that happen. So from that mindset, I'm going to say JBB.
Okay.
Just because she doesn't have the pressure for the globe. So
yeah, she can just let it rip. For the men's sprint, Johannes Thingnes Boe is at 3:42.
JT Boe.
Jacqueline is 17 points behind him, and Lagrad is 36 points back of JT Boe, and then Uldal is out of contention, basically. So, JT Boe. All right. There will be a pursuit race. So, in the pursuit, Jeanmonnot is leading Simon by 32 points, and then Preuss is 79 points back for that. So basically, Simon or Jeanmonnot. Jeanmonnot has a...
Simon.
Yep, okay. In the men's pursuit, Johannes is at 3:55, Lagrad's at 3:40, and there's the only two who can win it.
And you were asking who wins the globe, right?
The pursuit globe.
Perrault will win the race, but I'm going to say Lagrad on the pursuit.
All right. And that
also will win him the isolated pursuit
globe.
All right.
Excellent. And in the mass start, Preuss has 265, Elvira has 224, so she's got a solid 41-point lead there. Richard actually is in third place with 204 points. So 41 points back, and then Jeanmonnot is at 188.
Is Simon not?
She is at 159 in fifth place.
I'll give that one to Preuss then, because
awesome.
That will be the
way to go,
deciding race.
Yep. And in the men's side, Lagrad has 260 points. Perrault is at 239, so only 21 points back. And then QFM is at 218. He's in third place at 42 points back. Tarje is at 193, so he's 67 points back. And then JT
What was
Boe's
the gap between Perrault and Sturla?
21 points. So if you're going to bet that JT Boe is going to win the overall,
Tarje.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
No, I think Sturla will win the overall.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Perrault will win the mass start globe, but I would really love it if Tarje could win the mass start globe, but it sounds like he's a bit too far behind.
Bit too far back. Yeah.
And relying on others doing bad.
67 points, so he would need to win.
Yeah. No, for the isolated, I think Jeanmonnot is leading Elvira, if I remember correctly. I'm going to say that Lou will win the isolated.
Were you able to convince the IBU to make some globes for that?
Not the IBU necessarily, but I was able to convince myself to to spend way too much time on replicating the IBU globes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it in crystal.
Yeah.
Or glass.
Really? Why not?
Or silver. But PLA printing material for 3D printers work quite well with a layer of paint. So hopefully we'll have a chance to hand those globes out in person and have some photographic evidence of that.
Yes. Yep.
I'm on the fence if I should reach out to the IBU and see if there's any chance we can sort of get some cooperation from them to hand those out. And at the same time, I'm like, how open are they going to be to the idea of obviously very amateuristic, but still somewhat decent replica of their globes to be handed out? But
that's a good point. Didn't think about that.
I can't really see them being offended by any means.
No. All they can do is say no. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very close to the in look at least. The only thing that's changed is it doesn't say International Biathlon Union. It says Pokljuka Podcast on the
as it should.
One of the banners.
They have nothing to do with this. This is a 100% RJ production.
No, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Eventually, I hope that they'll get to them, but
well, we will.
But we'll see.
Yep. So we should probably get out of here. Go do some packing. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Do some planning for what we're actually going to do when we get out there. Just find out there's going to be no surprise, but there's going to be a press conference on Thursday morning with the Boe boys. So that'll be fun. What
are the odds that they'll announce that it was all a prank?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they'll be back for the Olympic season.
Oh man, that'd be amazing. I'd be thrilled, and it'd be so funny. Well, we've actually reconsidered this.
I'd be concerned for the mental health of some of the Norwegian male athletes on the team.
I think that there would be some phone calls going out to immigration attorneys immediately. How do I get Belgian citizenship?
And on dating sites.
Yeah.
Norwegian athlete looking for...
Yeah. I would like to marry somebody from Greece. I think that'd be... But...
Yeah.
Anything else before we wrap it up?
Yeah. No. I maybe just to say that in the beginning you said the non-typical stop in Pokljuka. It's very. I really enjoyed the World Cup there, despite the miserable weather conditions in the beginning. The crowd was there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just a numbers thing or if it maybe the Slovenian people are a bit more quiet by nature, but it wasn't as loud as we've seen in Novo Mesto, for example. But they were there in the rain, cheering on the athletes, not very biased towards their own team, even though they did really well. So I like Pokljuka. It's a cool venue, and
well, good, because
so
we'll be going back there.
A great weekend.
Yeah.
Are they scheduled for that New Year's Day race or something?
Yes, that's
in a couple of years.
Yep, they will be doing the New Year's race. Excited to see it.
And I did see, actually, because I know the weather forecast for Oslo wasn't great, but I think they had World Cup cross-country skiing races.
They did, and Jesse Diggins won the overall for the second year in a row.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, and Stina Nielsen, who we mentioned last time, winning the Vasaloppet, I think also won the Birkebeiner.
Oh, wow.
So
she can't stop winning now. She's addicted to it.
She feels, liberated with not having to ski with a rifle on her back.
She probably does, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next time you hear from us, we will have been in Oslo.
Next time I'm sure we'll be messaging a lot. Did you remember? Did you do this? Did you do that? But
yeah,
it's still mind-boggling that we have to go to Oslo to meet each other for the first time. But
yeah, well, it's neutral ground. We, now that the United States and Canada are mortal enemies, we needed to go somewhere safe.
Yeah. It might be the end of the podcast too.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can't figure out the tariff on these podcasts, then I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Matt.
We'll call it a day.
Take care. We'll be in touch, and thanks everybody for listening.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.